Welcome back to WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We're taking a crab cake tour out on the road. We're going to be out after Thanksgiving, through the holidays, lots of places. I have some Raven scratch offs still to give away from the Maryland Lottery, but I'm going to have some scented tickets, never to be called sniffers. They're going to be gingerbread and peppermint just for the holiday season. Also, our friends at Window Nation, 86690 Nation, taking care of business around here, and Jiffy Lube Multi-Care. I guess it's great that my guest here is behind the wheel of a large automobile. He will be behind the wheel driving here to Towson, Maryland, still pronounced Towson by some folks up there in Bucks County because they don't know better up there. This guy is the pride of Philadelphia. He has a song about Philadelphia. He's written a lot of songs. It's been a long, long time since, and I am proud to be a part of this. And Paul Manna and everybody over at the Recher, I hope we mob the joint on the 2nd of December to see my friend Tommy Conwell and the young rumblers rumbling down here. Hey, man, I came up to Ardmore a couple weeks ago just to make sure you guys were still good because I didn't want to be like promoting a show and saying, these old guys are over the hill. I took a friend who'd never seen your band but knew of your band, and she said, "Oh my God, these guys they don't play often. They just do this once or twice a year." And I'm like, it's unbelievable. So tribute to you. How are you?
I'm doing I'm doing great. Thanks for that enthusiastic introduction. It's great to see you, Nestor. Always great to be on your show. And man, I'll tell you what, man, I have never been to the Recher, but it looks really great. Looks really nice. I mean, beautiful pictures from there, man. Great outside. Looks like a great spot.
Yeah, it's been remodeled a couple of times, and it has a great legendary lore here over a quarter of a century now. And it's been a while, man. Like, I love you. I love your band. I'm on go watch all the old interviews if you want to talk about Dewey or Batman. We have all of that, and even the Hammerjack stuff. And I want to give a shout out to Steve and Anne Marie, who has accompanied me up to the Ardmore on a couple of occasions to see reunion bands, and Jill DeVille and the Baltimore people. There's a Hammerjacks legend and a lore. You're a part of that. There's a Baltimore music scene that Philly sort of intersected with at that period of time with the Cinderellas and the hair bands and those kinds of bands. But you came down here with Little Kings. You played 8x10. You played a lot of places. I think you played the Barn at various points on your way up before you got signed when you were doing the Cornerstone thing. We were all watching the Hooters have success. I mean, the Baltimore thing for you, there's Philly. I guess there was Jersey Beach for you and some other places. You guys did well in New York, as I remembered as well. But Baltimore was like, for the young Rumblers, it was part of maybe why you got signed is you were big outside of Philly, right?
No doubt, man. Baltimore was like a second home to us. And it really started in Ocean City, Maryland. Like Ocean City, Maryland is where we was one of our first gigs with the Green Turtle in Ocean City back in 1984.
Was that
and
Rocket 88 and Dr.
well, no,
Harmonica?
but that's the first gig I ever did with Rocket 88 was at the Green Turtle in Ocean City, Maryland in 1983. And or was it 82? Maybe it was 82, 83 because I started the Rumblers in 84. Yeah, 84. So anyway, yeah, so that was the first gig I did with Rocket 88 and I was just sitting in too. And but then one of the first places I called was the Green Turtle because I knew Ocean City's huge and it's connected to Baltimore. There's a connection. Like a lot of people who go to Ocean City, some people who go to Ocean City or are in Ocean City are from Baltimore, so they'll take their enthusiasm back home to Baltimore. Which is what happened, man. And yeah, man. I mean, Baltimore was always a second home to us, and it's been too long since we played there, and I'm really glad to be going back.
How do you feel about your band at this point? I mean, just that I would brag on your band and tell all my people, grow my hair long, just in case the 80s come back, and tell people to come see your band. I think the night at Dewey was a little telling for me because there were definitely people there that hadn't seen you in a long time, that you have to drive to Philly to see you. I've done that several times. I've done it during the middle of the plague where you're like, what are you doing to seeing me strumming guitar? I'm like, nobody's playing. It's a plague. You're the only one playing, you know? So I need to see some live music. And there is something local about all of that. And Baltimore's not that far away. And I guess there was a point in your musical career where you're like, all right, I'm going to go have a normal life here. I'm off the tour bus. Letterman can still come back and you can come back too. But I mean, I was shocked. I was there for your sound check in Dewey. Full disclosure, I found this old poster that I wanted you guys to sign. It, your guys, the guys in your band are still like, I can't believe you have that poster, man. And I'm like, nah, it's still pristine. I'm gonna put it up. And I was down there for your sound check, and like, you guys walk on stage, it's like you do it all the time. But the fact that you're healthy enough to do it, the fact that you're all doing well, the fact that what you're putting on when you come out is not the oldies shows specifically for where you are and a band cycle, but people come out and see you and it's, dare I say, as good as it ever was? Or do you not feel that way?
Well, the thing is, it hasn't changed. It's pretty much the same because it hasn't changed. But no, I mean, look, it's good in new ways. It's good in new ways. It's good because it's more joyful now. You know what I mean? Now it's just all joy. It's all love. It's all fun. There's no like, come on, you guys, get your shit together.
Right.
You know what? There can be a little bit of that still, but not much. There's very little. Come on, very little of that. And it's mostly like, hey man, let's just do it. Like we don't practice. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, I saw your sound check and you literally ran through everything one time. I don't think you
yeah.
stopped. I mean, like, I don't think
Well,
there might have been a part where you're like, hey, let's speed that up. Let's slow that down. But for the most part,
yeah.
like,
Yeah, a lot of time in sound check, we have one new song we're going to do. You know what I mean? Like let's put, and it's usually an old one. Let's pull this one out. This one needs practice. So we'll practice that, and that way the sound guy can get his sound together. And we don't worry about the old songs. You know what I mean? Like they play themselves, and I forget the words once in a while, or like the arrangements might be. There are some songs like they're always good. You're never sure exactly where it's going, you know what I mean? But the guys are good at following me, you know what I mean? And they've got a lot of practice, and so it's just fun, man. And it's a love fest more than anything. And it's the old songs, I mean, it's our old weird band. I mean, nobody the reason no one sounds like us exactly, and this is the way with a lot of the greatest bands. The reason no one sounds like them is because they're not that good. You know what I mean? Like they can only do, what's great about them is that they're together. What's not great about them is I'm the best guitar player in the world, or I'm the best singer, or I'm the best drummer. None of them are the best at anything. You know what I mean? But together you make this noise that is fun and is good and is sweet and is, and is part of people's lives. You know what I mean? And so it's super fun, man. And like, we're brothers, man. Like we're as I don't have a lot of old friends. I mean, there's like the people you went to school with, but I don't really stay in touch. I don't stay in touch with anybody. That's just the way I am, which is not something that it's kind of a challenge for me. But with those guys, they're like, like we play. I don't know, two to 4 or 5 times a year. 2 minimum, and 4 or 5 max. And we're just brothers, man. We're just brothers, man. We love each other. We tell each other every time, and hug each other and say, I love you, man, every time, so there are very few bad feelings. There really aren't really any, which is really fun and great and sweet and a total gift. And it's a gift of being where we are today. You know what I mean?
Well, I wrote down here, music is fun. And I think the one thing, having seen the band a couple of weeks ago, and I, see it once or twice a year. Sometimes I miss, sometimes it's Thanksgiving weekend, which I think is how the whole thing got started up in Philadelphia and sort of reignited. This is more of a holiday period of time. And I just saw people having a good time. But more than that, it's fun for you, and I think that makes it fun for the crowd. Tommy Conwell and the Young Rumblers are playing at the Recher in Towson. You know how to get there. Parking right around the corner. Stop over at Nacho Mama's, get yourself a beer and some chips or something like that, and get out and shake it off on December the 2nd. Work off some of that turkey you're eating, some of the crab cakes I'll be eating next week. And look, when the guys come down from Philly and the Eagles are like the 1 seed and the Ravens are kind of playing well and it's bye weekend for the Ravens. I mean, you don't have to even get out of bed the next day. So, for this whole Philadelphia, man, when you were big, we didn't even have a football team, right? I mean, the Colts were gone when you came down to the Hammerjacks, there were no Colts, literally.
That is crazy. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. You can't
Well,
imagine
thank
the
God
Eagles
for the
being
Ravens.
right? Well, listen, so I saw you talk about working a song because for people listening, they love your band. You worked up "I Want to Make You Happy," and a couple of times at the Ardmore, you were like, "You have no idea how hard Chris had to work to learn this song." And, there comes a point where I guess some of it does get away from you if you don't play it, and rehearsing it and having fans yell something at you. I want to hear something. You're like, no. We don't rehearse, man. We ain't learning that on the fly, because you
We
guys
know
had a
that.
lot of songs.
Yeah. And there's a few, that I'd like to pull out. I Want to Make You Happy, man. Here's the thing. I heard it on the radio in Philly one day, like maybe it was 2 years ago or three. I don't know, whatever. The past couple of years, but I just driving. I heard it on the radio. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, who's playing this? Why? And it sounded good. And I don't like, whatever. This song was so good. It felt so good. Like, it felt better than it ever did before. Like, before it felt like this isn't really like a song that I love. You know what I mean? Or, but when we played it on, at Ardmore last week, it just felt like, wow, this song is good for like us at this point. You know what I mean? It's just a sweet song, and it's like and the outro, like I just felt like uh, something called being in a groove or in the pocket. Like I felt like we were in the pocket. Like when you're in the pocket, when you're in a groove, you don't want to stop. You know what I mean? Like most songs, it's like, okay, all right, I think they've had enough of this. You know what I mean? Let's end it. Because a lot of songs, like they don't have a set ending. You end it when you think it's right to end it. And so a lot of songs, they're usually a couple times, you repeat something a couple times and say, okay, that's enough. But like that one, it was like, I don't see any reason to end this. You know what I mean? That's what being in a groove means, or in a pocket. You know what I mean? That's what being in a groove means. It's like, can we just keep going? Like until, I don't know, man. I don't know how long, but that's what it felt like. So it's cool. We'll do
I
that
saw
again at the record for sure.
I saw you guys playing a lot of places back in the day, whether Stone Balloon. I never saw you like Chestnut or Trocadero, any of those Philly clubs. You guys play down here every month or two. It's plenty to see you. I saw you down at AL Gators or whatever it was called at that period of time, and some DC shows. I think I may have seen you at the Bayou, perhaps back in the day. Is there anything about Hammerjacks? Other than the documentary where you were a little part of it, I was like, we were all a little part of it, but to expound upon, when the bus was going through there on a tour, or when you had a one-off, or you guys were coming down, because, I mean, dude, it was mobbed. I mean, I was there on nights when, BAD was there, or big bands, Kiss played there, Ozzy played there, and they could only put so many people in there. You guys got to the point when you were at your zenith, 87, 88, when you got signed, where you were just flat out, you could have done 2 or 3 nights at 16, 1,800 people, sweat on the ceiling, right?
You think?
There was something, dude, you guys at that point, those must have been memorable shows for you to see it go from where it was in Baltimore to grow that way.
Here's the thing, man. Like I would go to a place. This probably happens a lot of places I go, but especially Hammerjacks. Like Hammerjacks was a big room, and they had a lot of big bands come in there, but they were like metal bands, they were like Kicks, and those kind of bands would play there, not
Guns
with
N'
hot
Roses,
stuff.
yeah.
I mean, like the real bands, but it was a lot of like more hard rock and metal kind of stuff. And I don't even know what we were or are, you know what I mean? Like we don't really fit anywhere in my. Maybe I give myself too much credit, but I don't know where the hell we fit. But so I'd always look at the thing and say, look at the mark, the schedule and say, wow, why do they like us here? You know what I mean? Like they like all this other stuff that we're really not like. I don't know. I always felt like a bit of a miss. I always was amazed at how warm the welcome was at Hammerjacks. Um, because it was just like coming home every time. People were sweet. People who worked there were sweet. There was always a good crowd. It always felt like a big deal. It was fantastic, man. Here's the thing, like we didn't get that everywhere. You know what I mean? Like we didn't like we got that some places, but like we didn't get that in Chicago or like St. Louis or Ohio. You know what I mean? Like we got that in Baltimore. We got it in Philly, Baltimore, Central Pennsylvania, Asbury Park, New Jersey. Like we had our spots. Ocean City, Maryland. But Baltimore was a big one, man. Baltimore was always, always, always very sweet to us.
I want to say something sweet about your town as I wear my Curio Baltimore shirt here, because you're always wearing that Philly. We're from Philly. And, if the Sixers are well, it's a Sixers hat. I'm sure you'll have an Eagles hat on when you get down here because Phillies did well, right? So
my Eagles hat's holding up my phone right now, or I'd show it to you.
Well, I know you would, and that Flyers and that we always hate the Flyers, even though I'm wearing Flyers colors. They're Orioles colors. I've been in Philly twice in the last couple of weeks. We're in the Philly range because sometimes I get up Newark or above Hollywood Casinos right at Perryville. You can get WMMR there, right? And this is no offense to 98 Rock or 100.7, and those people know I love them over at the Bay, and they've changed their format a little bit where it's not so Santana, Allman Brothers, and Zeppelin. It's a little bit more Incubus and 311. It's more 90s-ish, and we're all getting older, and we're all trying to hold up. But I listen to MMR in the middle of the night when I left you in Ardmore. I listened for an hour and a half driving home. And then I listened in the middle of the day, a week and a half ago. They were doing a charity thing. And I just think to myself, like Heritage Radio, and I know you were part of the family of what they do up there, but it's so important to the community and the music community to have sort of that 98 Rock, that Bay that keeps the music of the Ravens alive. It keeps your music alive. Crack the Sky, Kicks. Oh my God. I mean, dude, the night the Kicks retired, Tom, I'm going to tell you, man, it was a Jimmy Buffett concert. It was 15,000 people on the lawn at Merriweather in the driving rain to say goodbye to a local. You know what that feels like being but what MMR is for Philly and what I hear, and I have some blasphemy that I want to poop upon some locals. Okay, I went to see Geddy Lee Friday night down at MGM, and he had played on Wednesday in Philly, and he's doing this book, My Effing Life, and I love Geddy. We all love Geddy, right? We all mourn the loss of Neil, and he's talking about all this stuff, right? So yeah, now you're meandering me here. So Wednesday night, Geddy comes out on stage. He has a different host every night. It was Pierre Robert, and some people in my community didn't know who he is, and I'm like, stop. These are the people that kept music like yours, got you on the map and made it go. That all these years later, radio matters a lot. It really does.
Yeah. Well, what you said about you said heritage radio. And yeah, man, like wasn't when in the 80s in Baltimore, wasn't it 98 Rock?
Always 98 Rock. Sarah Fleischer, Kirk McEwen still here.
Yeah. And in Philly, it's always been MMR and yeah, and they and really when I guess it will always be a part of people my age. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure what the demographic is now. I don't know. And I'm not sure what it'll be when Pierre does finally retire at some point. Pierre's a central guy who was there since probably, the late 70s or very early 80s.
I listened to him after every Rush concert. on the Grace Under Pressure tour in the 80s, every time I would leave Philly, going into Philly, it was a celebration of whatever band was playing there that night. And leaving
Yeah,
Philly, you get a
yeah.
pretzel out in front of the Spectrum, get the hell out of there, try to beat the
And then they
traffic.
just play. They used to just play like a block of like every good
Yeah,
song,
man,
like
there was
after the
nowhere else you
show.
want to listen to. That's
That's
why I'm giving
fun.
some love to your town and the radio station
Yeah,
that built it, because I still listen.
yeah,
And a week later, somebody doesn't know who Pierre Robert is, and I'm like, I took a picture of him and Jackie Bam Bam at the Tommy Conwell show last year.
yeah. And people they don't know because they're not in this town. They can't hear him, and he's famous among radio people, I guess. But he's a real treasure, in Philly. I mean, he's just a great man. I'm like he's sincere. Like he has never wavered. He has never wavered in his positivity about Philadelphia and the local band, local music in Philadelphia. He's never, he's a what do you call it? Like a monolith, man. You know what I mean? He's just like he's there. He's not going nowhere.
The institution, kind of like you guys. All of our Phil Abundance is going to be headed to Recher Theater on December the 2nd. Tommy Conwell and the Young Rumblers putting the band back together, bringing them down 95, will come rumbling in. And there is no balcony for you to climb at the Recher, but we're going to have to figure this out for you. We're going to have to invent some monkey bars or something for you to get across, all right?
Dude, yeah, there was a place. There was a place in Baltimore back in the day. The hotel. It was in a hotel. What was that place? The Marble, not the
Marble
Marble Bar.
Bar. Marble
No,
Bar
not
was
the. It
before your
wasn't the Marble
time.
Bar. No, yeah, not the Marble Bar.
The 8 by
That's
10 was the little place in the neighborhood.
that was a good place. I played there a couple of times with other bands too. But no, but what was that place? It was in a hotel. It was in an old hotel. We played there a couple of times, and they had a really high balcony. And for some reason, like a complete jackass, like I'm walking on the railing of this balcony. Like if I fell, like I'd probably die, or definitely get really hurt and be really gross and upsetting for everyone there. And thank God I didn't. But I can't remember the name of that place. Maybe someone will remember it.
Well, come see Tommy on December the 2nd at the Record. You always make time to come on. I don't wish any ill will to the Eagles or anything, so I want to keep it all,
Hey,
all
we might
fair.
see you guys in the Super Bowl. Fingers crossed. That would be fun.
All I can think about is if we lost, how awful that would be. You know, what I mean,
Yeah, well, I know the feeling. We lost last year, but you know what? I'd love to play the Ravens in the Super Bowl rather than the Chiefs. God willing, like I said, if we can get there, that would be cool. The Ravens and the Eagles, that would be cool.
maybe put the band back together to play the pregame or something. Tommy Conwell and the Young Rumblers putting the band back together, playing all the hits, playing all the songs you love, and playing Do You Still Believe
Somebody's
It?
paying. If
Hey,
somebody's paying, we're playing.
there you go, man. Paul Manna and our friends at 24/7 putting that together. Thanks for coming on, brother. We'll see you soon.
Later.
Keep rocking. Tommy Conwell of the Young Rumblers. You can find them at the Record on the 2nd. Tickets are available. It's $30. Doors at 7 o'clock. Ample parking in the rear, as we like to say. I am Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570. Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore. Positive.